Everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. Today I'm going to share with you how you can have recipe ready, easy freeze vegetables on hand all the time, and you're going to save money and you're going to have what you need and avoid cash in the trash. I can't wait to show you how this all comes together. In a previous video that I did a few years back, I showed you how to preserve green onions or scallions by freezing them. Now, that video, for some weird reason, is one of my most popular videos. And over the years, it has gotten a lot of views and I've gotten a lot of questions. What else can I freeze to help me stretch my dollar, save my money, and avoid waste? Well, there are surprisingly a large number of things that you can put in the freezer without having to do anything to them. And today I'm going to share with you some of those ideas. Of course, scallions are on the list, or green onions as the case may be. You can chop those up and you can just pop them in a container or in a Ziploc bag and put them in your freezer, and they will stay nicely for about 3 months. Now, the one thing that I neglected to mention in that video is they are not going to eat like fresh after you thaw them out. The idea here is to save them and not waste them, and to use them in things that are cooked, like stir fries, soups, stews, popping them on a baked potato where they're gonna wilt anyway. So the same idea applies here. Today I'm gonna just share with you, and the process is the same for all of these things. You wash them, you chop them, you freeze them, and you can do a couple of things. Today we're going to do celery, bell peppers, and onions. I use these all the time in my cooking, and sometimes we have like celery or bell peppers that are coming to a point where you gotta use them or you gotta toss them. So it's at that point where I'm at that point with these bell peppers. They're not rotten, and they're certainly still usable, but they're not going to be great for serving on a veggie tray or with some hummus, which is how my girls like to eat them the best. We always have bell peppers in our refrigerator, and often they do get eaten quickly. However, if I buy green bell peppers on sale to make stuffed peppers or use in a recipe, sometimes they get forgotten, stuck in the back of the produce drawer, and then I see them, they get a little bit wrinkly, a little bit past their prime for fresh eating, so I know it's time to cook them or it's time to prep them for the freezer, which I just wash them, I top and tail them, I take out the seeds, and then I slice them like this. You're going to want to prep your vegetables the way you use them most. For instance, my celery. I have simply taken the stalk, rinsed it well, and I have just cut it into slices. If you want it diced more finely, you can do that when you thaw it out. My onions I have diced pretty fine because this is how I use them the most in recipes. My peppers I have sliced, and that's how I use them the most. But if I want them diced once I take them out of the freezer, they're pretty easy to dice up. So you have to make that decision. How do you use yours the most, and what way do you chop them up or slice or dice, and what is the way you use them most often? Now, I'm just going to tell you that you can put these in a container, which would be a plastic container with a nice airtight lid, a Ziploc bag that you push all the air out of and then put into another Ziploc bag, because the peppers and the onions especially, they do tend to make your freezer smell with their aroma, and we don't want that. We don't want those flavors permeating everything in the freezer, so it's better to double bag it or put these in Ziploc bags, press all the air out, and then put them in another airtight container. That way you have like a little library of pre-chopped veggies that are ready to go for your recipes when it's time to make them. The other thing that I have done that I didn't put on the platter here is spinach. This is a bag of baby spinach, which I promptly brought home and stuffed in my freezer. When you do that, after it's frozen, you can just break it up and then you can use this in soups, stews. You can make cream spinach out of it right out of the freezer. You can also use this in your smoothies. If you want to add a little green goodness to your kids' smoothies, you can just freeze. This spinach is pre-washed and ready to go, and it's easy to just stick in your freezer. Then once you get it frozen and broken up, you can put this in a larger airtight container the next day, and you're good to go. So that is a really great idea, because I know that spinach, we buy baby spinach all the time because we eat salad for dinner at least once a week with some grilled meat in it, and for dinner. And then, you know, we may use half a bag of spinach, and the other half a bag of spinach may not get used as quickly, and baby spinach goes bad quickly, and it gets that green slime, and then you got to toss it. So we're going to try avoiding cash in the trash, and to coin a phrase that we all know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to pop these in Ziploc bags today. You can choose to spread these out on a baking sheet, put them in the freezer, freeze them solid, take them out, put them in a Ziploc bag. But I'm just going to pop these in a Ziploc bag and freeze them, because you can easily break these things up after they are frozen and then just take out what you need and put them in your recipe. This is great for if you're going to add it to ground beef, like spaghetti sauce or chili or any kind of soup or some kind of stew that you're throwing in the crock pot. The spinach, I said, is really great for smoothies or cream spinach, or I use this in Italian wedding soup. It's a great way to add more greens or vegetables to things like soups, stews, sauces, etc., that your kids won't really notice, because this is going to cook down anyway and just kind of get in there. They won't even know it. So I'll be right back, and I'm going to show you how we're going to store these. Well, there you have it. I have gone ahead and bagged up all my vegetables individually in separate bags. These are quart-size freezer bags, and the spinach is in a gallon-size bag. And I have them inside of this container that is nice and airtight, so that when I put it in my freezer, then I will be able to keep it all in one place. It'll be easy to find. I can just grab the box, take out the veggies I need, and then seal them back up and put them back in the freezer. It's nice to have a dedicated spot if you have a place in your freezer. Maybe you have a chest freezer, maybe you have a, you know, freezer in your kitchen, so that you're able to take advantage of things like this. You can freeze these vegetables easily. Now, if you like to do carrots, those cannot be frozen, like just chop them up and freeze them. You really do need to blanch carrots, you need to blanch green beans, you need to blanch fresh peas. So, but things like any kind of peppers, any kind of celery, onions, green onions, scallions, shallots, those type of things, those are all really easy to freeze. Spinach, kale, and other tender greens are easy to freeze like that. I think that in the long run, this really is just an attempt to try and save what we've spent our hard-earned money on, and also it's a great way to have what you need on hand instead of tossing it if it gets a little south of where you'd like to have it for fresh eating. And like I said earlier, these are intended to be used in cooked applications, in hot recipes. These are not intended to be used and eaten as fresh after they have been frozen, because they are not going to have the same consistency after they are frozen as they do when they are fresh out of the garden. So with that in mind, you do what you like. You store these chopped up however you use them most. Maybe you haven't ever considered freezing some of these things, but you can. And I hope that you learned something, and I hope that if this is helpful, that you'll give it a try. And I hope you love it. And until next time, I'll see ya.